Dr. Julian Carter, casually dressed, boards his own airline in first class, seat 1A. A white woman, Rebecca, shoves him out and sneers that people like him don't belong there. The crew takes her side, ignores his boarding pass, and threatens to arrest him. Passengers film as the humiliation goes viral in real time. Julian never raises his voice. When security arrives, he calmly opens an app, looks the guard in the eye, and says 7 words that flip the world upside down. I own this airline. Check again. The cabin falls silent. Within minutes, the crew is suspended, Rebecca is removed in disgrace, and Julian announces sweeping reforms live from his seat. The moment sparks global headlines and forces airlines everywhere to adopt anti-discrimination policies. From prejudice to power, Julian turns humiliation into history, proving dignity, once defended, can change the world. Julian Carter, a renowned psychologist and former airline executive, sat in first class with his wife, Rebecca. They had always been close, but never quite shared the same passion for travel as he did. As they boarded their plane, the sound of the engines roared to life, creating an electric hum that reverberated through the cabin. Rebecca glanced over at him with a dismissive sneer and whispered, "People like you don't belong here." Julian's eyes met hers coldly before shifting to meet the stares from his fellow passengers. He didn't reply, but he knew what she was talking about. The airline industry had long been notorious for its treatment of minority groups, particularly women. Rebecca wasn't a stranger to prejudice and discrimination in her field, having witnessed firsthand how airlines often excluded those who couldn't afford premium seats or were perceived as less worthy than the other passengers. As they sat across from each other, their eyes locked, and she could feel his anger simmering within him. However, Julian knew he had to stay calm and professional for both himself and the safety of everyone else on board. He took a deep breath and turned his attention back to the plane's amenities before turning to Rebecca again. "Rebecca," he said softly, "let me make something clear. I own this airline." The cabin fell silent as the audience watched in awe, their faces transfixed by Julian's audacity. The passengers had never heard anyone declare that they owned an airline before, let alone someone who was a former executive with decades of experience working within its ranks. Rebecca's eyes widened and her jaw dropped as she realized what he meant. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to hide the disbelief in her voice. Julian grinned slyly, his tone soft but confident. "I am the CEO of one of the largest airlines globally," he replied with a flourish. The audience erupted into applause, and Julian's face lit up with pride as they cheered him on for his boldness and determination to challenge traditional airline practices. As the plane soared through the sky, Julian couldn't help but feel exhilarated. He had never felt more alive than when standing at the helm of such a prestigious organization that was respected by millions around the world. But he also knew that there were still challenges ahead as he implemented his sweeping reforms and worked to make their airline more inclusive for all passengers, regardless of their background or financial status. As they landed on their destination, Julian couldn't shake off the feeling of responsibility weighing upon him. He had created a ripple effect in the world by changing the way people perceive the industry's practices and paved the way for greater equality and diversity within its ranks. In the days that followed, airlines around the globe scrambled to implement his reforms, adapting their policies and procedures to accommodate marginalized groups such as women, minorities, and individuals with disabilities. The airline community was no stranger to scrutiny and backlash from those who felt left behind or unfairly treated by the industry's practices. However, Julian refused to let this fear deter him from his mission. He knew that true progress required not just changes in policy, but also a willingness to confront our deeply ingrained societal biases and stereotypes. Over time, as more airlines began implementing anti-discrimination policies and welcoming diverse groups into their operations, the world around them transformed. The airline industry became known for its commitment to social responsibility, and people no longer felt afraid of flying with others who didn't fit within traditional norms. But Julian's impact extended far beyond just his former job in aviation. He inspired a new generation of leaders who were eager to challenge existing power structures and create change that would benefit everyone on the planet. His legacy lived on through the countless passengers he had helped connect, inspiring them to see themselves as valued members of society despite their circumstances. As he boarded the plane once again with his wife, Rebecca, they looked at each other with newfound admiration. "I'm so proud of you," she said softly, tears streaming down her face. "You've made a real difference." Julian grinned and chuckled. "That's what being a leader is all about, isn't it?" He turned to the passengers who had watched his transformation unfold on social media, holding their applause in hand as he took flight once again, this time ready for whatever challenges lay ahead of him. Ending. Dr. Julian never raised his voice during the airport's emergency announcement, but when he did speak, it was a forceful yet measured tone that commanded attention across all passengers and crew members alike. The sound of his deep bass reverberated through the crowded terminal as he declared, "Attention, everyone. This is an urgent warning. A distress call has been received from over 20 international airlines due to severe weather conditions on their respective routes." The air around them was thick with uncertainty and fear, but Julian's voice cut through it like a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. He spoke with authority, sharing details about the intense storm that had struck 3 major cities across Europe: Paris, London, and Rome. The severe winds were causing turbulence, closing roads and disrupting flight schedules, leaving passengers stranded in airports for days without access to basic necessities. "I know this might be distressing," Julian continued, his voice trembling slightly with emotion, "but please understand that the safety of our traveling public is at stake." He paused for a moment before adding, "Please follow my instructions carefully and remain seated until the weather conditions improve. Once we have clear skies, I will update you on how to proceed." As the emergency message played out over the radio system, Julian's words resonated with those who had been caught off guard by this unexpected turn of events. The passengers' faces were expressions of shock, disbelief, and concern as they awaited his announcement about what lay ahead. Some people whispered anxiously, "What if we can't get home?" while others tried to stay focused on their daily routines. However, Julian's calm demeanor proved infectious, inspiring a sense of determination among the crowd. He continued with his speech, emphasizing that the airlines were working tirelessly to mitigate the impact of the storm and provide assistance to those affected. They had been advised to fly to nearby airports in anticipation of changing flight routes or landing at alternate locations. However, due to the severe weather conditions on some routes, they needed additional support from international partners. "I understand your concerns," Julian said, his voice low but clear. "But we must remain committed to ensuring that all passengers are safe and accounted for." He paused for a moment before emphasizing, "Please follow these instructions carefully and keep an eye out for any updates or advisories provided by our aviation authorities." The air around them crackled with tension as the emergency announcement continued, but Julian's words reassured those on board. The airlines began to coordinate their efforts, working together across borders to provide support and assistance to stranded passengers. They arranged flights to safety destinations in Europe, such as Madrid or Dublin, while coordinating with local authorities to evacuate stranded travelers from affected airports. As the days went by, the situation became increasingly dire for those on board the planes that were forced to fly over treacherous weather conditions. Food supplies dwindled, and medical assistance was scarce. The passengers' desperation grew stronger every day as they watched their loved ones back home, anxiously awaiting updates about their safety. One night, just when everyone seemed lost in despair, a sudden blinding flash of lightning illuminated the dark sky above one of the affected cities. The sound of thunder echoed through the terminal and shattered the silence, causing passengers to huddle together for fear of another emergency situation. But Julian's voice boomed over the radio system, his words calm and reassuring. "Attention, everyone. We have received a notification from our aviation authorities that we may need to divert or evacuate some of the affected airports due to severe weather conditions caused by a lightning strike." His tone was urgent, but with a sense of hope in it. "I know this is terrifying," he continued, "but please remain calm and follow my instructions carefully. We are doing everything possible to ensure that all passengers on board our flights reach their intended destinations safely." He paused for a moment before emphasizing, "Please do not try to leave the airport or attempt to take flight without permission from our aviation authorities." As Julian's words echoed through the terminal, he could hear the collective sigh of relief and hope. The lightning strike had temporarily lifted its guard, allowing flights to resume operation once again. But it was a bittersweet moment as passengers marveled at how they had managed to weather this unexpected storm together. The emergency situation finally came to an end with the authorities clearing the skies for all affected airlines to safely return home. Julian's words of resilience and leadership were met with thunderous applause from the crowd, who hailed him as a true hero in their midst during these trying times. As he boarded his plane once again with Rebecca on board, they looked out at each other with renewed admiration and pride. "You've made a real difference," she whispered softly, tears streaming down her face. "We're so proud of you." Julian grinned and chuckled. "That's what being a leader is all about, isn't it?" He turned to the passengers who had watched his transformation unfold on social media, holding their applause in hand as he took flight once again, this time ready for whatever challenges lay ahead of him. For Julian, the experience of leading an emergency response during one of history's worst weather disasters was a testament to his unwavering commitment to creating positive change. His actions not only saved lives, but also inspired others to overcome adversity and fight for what they believe in. As he continued to lead from the front lines, he knew that his legacy would live on long after these skies cleared once again. The world around them had transformed overnight, thanks to Julian's leadership and bravery. The airline industry became known for its commitment to social responsibility, with airlines now working together across borders to provide assistance and support to stranded passengers in times of crisis. His message served as a reminder that even during the darkest hours, hope can conquer all. Julian smiled at those around him, his voice echoing through the terminal once again, "I am so proud of you." As he boarded his plane for yet another flight, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that nothing could ever bring back the lives lost in this disaster. But with a newfound sense of determination and purpose, Julian was prepared to lead from the front lines and make a difference in the world once again. Dr. Julian sat at the top of his office, surrounded by stacks of papers and a cluttered desk. He had been working tirelessly for weeks on these reforms that he promised to implement within days when the plane crash happened. The crew was suspended immediately upon landing, with Rebecca removed in disgrace due to her role as flight attendant, and Julian addressed the assembled staff. "Good morning," he said, his voice firm but unwavering. Today marks a turning point for our airline industry. My goal is not just to save lives, but also inspire others who may be facing adversity to rise above it. As he spoke, the room fell silent, except for the sound of the plane engines revving and passengers making their way off the runway. I want everyone here today to understand that no matter how difficult a situation they find themselves in, dignity can never be lost. We have been through this before, Julian said, his words echoing across the terminal. We've faced disasters like this before too, but we always come back stronger. Our focus must now shift from surviving to thriving. He then proceeded with his reforms, detailing a number of changes that would aim to make our airline industry more responsible and socially conscious in light of the tragedy that occurred on board the plane. The first step was a review of all safety protocols and procedures for each flight crew member, ensuring everyone had up-to-date knowledge and understanding of how to respond in case of an emergency. The safety of every passenger is paramount, Julian said. We must prioritize their well-being above everything else. He outlined several measures that would be taken, including increased training on emergency response techniques, the implementation of new equipment for rescue procedures, and a dedicated hotline where passengers could report any concerns or issues they may have during flights. The second change was to establish partnerships with local organizations that provide assistance to stranded passengers in times of crisis. These partnerships include airport authorities, government agencies, and nonprofit foundations that specialize in providing emergency relief services such as food, water, medical supplies, and shelter. Julian explained how these collaborations would help ensure a seamless response system for those affected by the crash. We know firsthand the devastating impact this tragedy has had on our passengers, he said, his voice filled with empathy. We want to do everything in our power to support them during their difficult journey home. He outlined specific plans to provide food and water at airports where stranded passengers are located, as well as assist with medical treatment and other essential services. The third change was to establish a dedicated helpline for passengers who may need assistance after the crash. The hotline would be available 24/7, allowing passengers to report concerns or issues they've experienced during flights, including lost luggage, damaged items, and emotional support from trained mental health professionals. Julian emphasized that this service should not only assist with basic needs, but also provide a safe space for individuals who may have been impacted by the trauma of their experience. As he spoke, Julian's eyes scanned over the assembled staff, taking in each one's expression of concern and determination to make positive changes. He knew they were facing significant challenges ahead, but his message was clear. With dedication, leadership, and a commitment to social responsibility, we can overcome these obstacles and create a more compassionate airline industry. I'm proud that my team has shown the world what it means to lead with integrity, Julian said, his voice filled with pride. We have come together as one to make this tragedy not just an unfortunate accident, but also a turning point for our future. He paused before continuing, his words echoing through the terminal once again. Today marks a new beginning for us all. We will continue to be at the forefront of creating safe and responsible travel experiences that prioritize the well-being and safety of every passenger. This is not just about saving lives. It's about building a better world where dignity never fades. With those words, Julian stood up from his desk, placing a smile on his face as he addressed the assembled crew once again. I'm so proud of you, he said, his voice echoing through the terminal one last time. As he boarded his plane for yet another flight, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that nothing could ever bring back the lives lost in this disaster. But with a newfound sense of determination and purpose, Julian was prepared to lead from the front lines and make a difference in the world once again. Dr. Julian, a renowned neurologist with a deep passion for exploring the mysteries of human consciousness and its role in shaping our lives, had always been known for his calm demeanor under pressure. However, when he faced an unprecedented crisis at work, everything changed. As a team from various countries descended upon London's Heathrow Airport to investigate the apparent suicide of two passengers who had boarded their flight, Dr. Julian was among them. The scene that unfolded on the runway quickly turned into chaos as emergency services scrambled to locate and rescue both victims. His colleagues rushed over to perform life-saving measures while the airport authorities worked tirelessly to identify a motive for the tragic accident. Dr. Julian's calmness in this situation was put to the test when he realized that one of the passengers had been missing. For hours before their bodies were discovered, with no visible injuries or signs of struggle. As they continued to search for clues, Dr. Julian began to suspect foul play and a deliberate act of sabotage. With his expertise in cognitive neuroscience, he quickly delved into the minds of both victims using advanced brain imaging techniques and psychological assessments. The results revealed a complex web of connections between their brains that suggested an intricate mind-body interaction tied to the catastrophic event. Dr. Julian's findings challenged conventional wisdom about human behavior and highlighted the profound role that emotions and memories played in shaping our lives. As he continued his investigation, Dr. Julian became increasingly convinced that someone had deliberately targeted the plane for a specific reason. He quickly assembled a team of experts who shared his theories and delved deeper into the motives behind the tragedy. They uncovered a tangled web of rivalries, personal vendettas, and political tensions between two wealthy individuals with close ties to London's elite circles. One individual in particular stood out as a potential suspect, Dr. David Blackwood, a powerful businessman who had built his empire through ruthless tactics and manipulations. With his wealth, influence, and connections across the globe, he was seen as a formidable antagonist by many within the aviation industry. Dr. Julian's investigation led him to confront Dr. Blackwood in person at an exclusive club on Regent Street. The meeting took place during a tense dinner party attended by high-profile guests who had all been affected by the tragedy. As they sat around a roaring fire, Dr. David made clear his intentions for revenge against those responsible. "You have blood on your hands," he growled, raising his glass in mock salute, as if daring anyone to challenge him. "The lives of our passengers were taken at their own peril because of your greed and selfishness." Dr. Blackwood's response was equally ruthless, but it was not a mere reaction. Rather, he launched into a passionate diatribe against Dr. Julian's theories about the mind-body connection. He accused Dr. Julian of being conspiracy theorist and suggesting that his investigations were merely an attempt to undermine his empire. As they exchanged heated arguments, Dr. Blackwood's words echoed throughout the club, casting shadows over the once lively atmosphere. The tension in the room reached a boiling point when one of the guests suddenly collapsed from exhaustion, leaving only a trail of blood on the floor. Dr. Julian knew that he had to act quickly if he wanted to save both victims' lives and put an end to Dr. Blackwood's reign of terror. He called for his team to gather at the scene and begin administering life-saving measures while coordinating with authorities. Meanwhile, as they raced against time to locate a suitable medical facility where they could perform emergency surgeries, Dr. Julian began to unravel more about Dr. David Blackwood's hidden motives behind the tragedy. It turned out that he had been plotting an elaborate scheme for years, aiming to dismantle his rivals and secure a seat at the top of the aviation industry. The plot involved orchestrating the suicide of two key members of his organization who were perceived as potential threats, including Dr. Julian himself. The plan was carefully planned with precision, ensuring that both victims' lives would be taken in order to eliminate any chance of retaliation from their rivals. As he pieced together the intricate web of lies and deceit behind the tragedy, Dr. Julian's team uncovered a shocking truth. Dr. David Blackwood had been part of an elaborate conspiracy involving not just his business empire, but also several powerful figures within London's elite circles. With this knowledge at hand, Dr. Julian was able to devise a plan that would dismantle Dr. Blackwood's organization and restore the integrity of British aviation. He worked tirelessly with government officials, law enforcement agencies, and other stakeholders to gather evidence against the conspirators and bring them to justice. As the investigation progressed, Dr. Julian faced numerous challenges along the way. There were resistance from powerful individuals within his own department who resented his efforts to investigate this seemingly unrelated case, and he was constantly threatened with retribution. However, through sheer determination and unwavering commitment to justice, Dr. Julian persevered. In a final act of bravery, Dr. Julian decided to expose the conspiracy head-on in a public presentation at an industry conference. His impassioned speech painted a stark picture of the dangers of greed and power, highlighting the devastating impact that these forces could have on individuals' lives. The event was met with widespread critical acclaim from attendees who had been caught off guard by Dr. Julian's revelations about his investigation into the tragic accident. The audience erupted in thunderous applause as he delivered his final message. We should not let fear of retribution cloud our judgment, but rather use this tragedy to raise awareness and inspire change. Let us stand together as one for a brighter future where dignity never fades. Dr. Julian's speech served as a wake-up call for the aviation industry, inspiring others to question their own role in shaping the world around them. The incident not only exposed Dr. Blackwood's evil deeds, but also highlighted the power of collective action and the importance of fighting against corruption and injustice. As news of his groundbreaking investigation spread worldwide, Dr. Julian became a symbol of hope for those seeking justice and dignity under challenging circumstances. He dedicated himself to making a lasting impact on aviation safety and inspired countless others to stand up for what they believe in, even when faced with seemingly impossible odds. In the end, Dr. Julian's courageous efforts not only saved lives, but also shattered the dark veil over London's elite circles, revealing a new era of transparency and accountability within the industry. His legacy would continue to inspire generations to come as he dedicated his life to creating safer and more equitable travel experiences that prioritize dignity and justice for all passengers. Dr. Julian Blackwood, the renowned aviation expert and former captain of an elite jet airliner, had always been known for his calm demeanor and unwavering commitment to ensuring safety on board. However, when he announced a sweeping reform plan live from his seat at London's prestigious Eiffel Tower during a press conference, it was clear that something significant was about to unfold. The air traffic controllers scrambled as the plane descended rapidly into the congested skies, their radios crackling with orders and warnings. The passengers huddled in the aisles for fear of impact, while emergency services rushed towards the scene, their vehicles honking and flashing lights illuminating the runway below. Dr. Blackwood's voice boomed through loudspeakers, demanding that they focus on maintaining control and avoid any sudden maneuvers. Understood, replied one controller, his tone firm but respectful. We will ensure smooth descent into our designated landing zone. The other controllers nodded in agreement, their hearts pounding with anticipation as the plane slowly descended towards its destination, unaware of the impending disaster unfolding moments before them. As they approached London's bustling city center, Dr. Blackwood noticed a growing tension among the passengers and crew members alike. Fear and anxiety were palpable, and many people were whispering about him, speculating about his intentions and motivations behind this bold move. Despite their doubts, he remained composed, addressing each individual with a steady hand and a calm demeanor. "Let's face it, everyone," he began. "We've all been through our fair share of challenges in aviation over the years. There have been times when we've faced unexpected situations that could potentially compromise safety on board. However, this is not one such situation." Dr. Blackwood then shared a personal story with the passengers, detailing his own experiences as captain during a crisis that had shaken him to his core. He spoke about how he and his crew worked tirelessly to ensure the safety of all on board when faced with an engine failure in Mode 3, resulting in a catastrophic explosion and loss of life. During this incident, Dr. Blackwood said, "I realized firsthand just how fragile our planes could be under extreme circumstances. The sheer force of the blast caused widespread damage on board, leaving many injured or deceased. It was an incredibly difficult experience for both us as individuals and for all those affected by it." The passengers were silent for a moment, their hearts heavy with emotion. They had witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences that can result from even minor mistakes in aviation safety protocols. Dr. Blackwood continued, reminding them of his commitment to upholding ethical standards and prioritizing passenger well-being. "I understand that some may question my motives," he said, "but I assure you, this isn't about me or any individual captain. It's about ensuring the safety of all passengers on board our aircrafts every time they take flight. The lives we have saved countless times over the years are a testament to my dedication and passion for aviation." The air traffic controllers nodded in agreement as Dr. Blackwood spoke, their hearts filled with gratitude towards him for his leadership during this historic moment. They knew that he was not simply doing it for personal gain or attention, but rather out of a deep sense of responsibility to protect the passengers from harm. With renewed confidence and determination, Dr. Blackwood continued his speech, outlining several measures he would take as part of his reform plan. He emphasized the importance of regular training sessions for pilots and crew members on emergency procedures, stress testing aircraft systems, and implementing strict adherence to safety protocols in all aspects of flight operations. "This isn't a silver bullet solution," Dr. Blackwood said, "but it's a comprehensive approach that addresses the root causes of our current challenges in aviation. By fostering an environment where everyone is accountable for their actions, we can create safer experiences and prevent similar disasters from occurring." The passengers listened intently as he spoke, many nodding in agreement with his message. They had seen firsthand how even minor mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequences on board the plane they were flying, and Dr. Blackwood's words served as a stark reminder of that. "We know it won't be easy," Dr. Blackwood continued, "but we are determined to make this reform happen. We need to break down these barriers, challenge our own biases, and work together towards a brighter future where dignity never fades." With renewed resolve, the passengers united in their support for Dr. Julian's reforms, promising to raise awareness about aviation safety issues, advocate for change, and hold those responsible accountable for any mistakes that may have occurred during this historic event. Dr. Blackwood's speech not only captured the hearts of the passengers, but also served as a catalyst for significant changes within the aviation industry. The announcement was met with overwhelming enthusiasm, leading to increased scrutiny on safety protocols and accountability measures across all airlines worldwide. As Dr. Julian stood before his colleagues in Eiffel Tower, his words echoed through the packed room, inspiring a collective effort towards creating safer flying experiences that prioritize dignity and justice for all passengers. His legacy would continue to serve as an example of how someone can turn tragedy into triumph by standing up against corruption and advocating for change within their chosen field. In conclusion, Dr. Julian Blackwood's announcement from London's Eiffel Tower marked a historic turning point in the aviation industry, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to ensuring safety on board while also challenging existing practices and institutions. His reforms not only laid the foundation for greater transparency, accountability, and ethical standards, but also inspired countless others to join their efforts towards creating safer flying experiences that prioritize dignity and justice for all passengers. As the aircraft lifted off from London's bustling city centre once more, Dr. Julian Blackwood looked out at his fellow pilots and crew members with a sense of pride and satisfaction, knowing that they had made significant strides in safeguarding aviation safety while upholding the highest standards of professionalism and compassion. The memory of his historic speech would serve as a testament to his unwavering dedication to creating safer skies for all who fly, a legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come. Dr. Julian Blackwood, a respected and pioneering aviation doctor with a long history of saving countless lives in the sky, stood tall at the top of Eiffel Tower's observation platform during his historic announcement to the world on June 28, 1937. The moment was bittersweet for Dr. Blackwood as he looked out over London's bustling streets below him and reflected on a time when aviation safety had been a major concern. It wasn't uncommon for accidents involving aircraft or pilots to occur during air travel, with countless lives lost due to negligence, lack of training, or malpractice. But amidst the chaos and tragedy that often accompanied these occurrences, Dr. Blackwood refused to be defeated by fear or despair. In his heart, he knew that there was a way forward, one where aviation could not only survive but thrive as an industry that prioritized safety for all passengers, regardless of their background or status. On June 28th, at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, Dr. Blackwood addressed a packed audience made up of representatives from across Europe and around the world. As he took to the platform with his trademark, gravely serious demeanor, Dr. Blackwood declared that aviation had come a long way since its humble beginnings as a means of transportation for merchants and travelers. From the earliest days of flight, we've always been driven by a desire to explore new horizons, break down barriers, and connect people from all corners of the globe, he began. But along with this progress has come an unfortunate shadow. Corruption, greed, and unchecked ambition have threatened our safety on board every single aircraft that flies today. As Dr. Blackwood spoke, his voice held a palpable sense of conviction and urgency. He outlined several key areas where improvements were needed to ensure the continued safekeeping of passengers in flight. 1. Enhanced training for pilots. The aviation industry must prioritize ongoing education and training programs to equip its workforce with the knowledge, skills, and mindset necessary to handle complex situations on the ground and in the air. 2. Increased transparency and accountability. A system must be put into place that ensures all decisions related to safety are made transparently and audited regularly by independent experts. This includes establishing clear lines of authority within airlines and regulatory agencies, as well as implementing whistleblower protections for those who speak out against unethical practices. 3. Improved communication between pilots, air traffic controllers, and ground operations. Accurate information exchange is essential in ensuring the smooth functioning of flight systems, particularly during emergency situations or when aircraft are flying over heavily congested areas. Implementing a standardized communication protocol can help minimize confusion and reduce the likelihood of accidents resulting from miscommunications. 4. Enhanced safety measures for passengers. The aviation industry must embrace new technologies and innovations to improve passenger experiences while maintaining high levels of security. This might include implementing advanced air filtration systems, enhancing cabin crew training and emergency preparedness, or developing more comfortable seating arrangements that allow passengers to rest comfortably during long flights. Dr. Blackwood's vision for the future was not just about improving aviation safety, but also about creating a culture of empathy and compassion within the industry itself. He believed that by fostering an environment where all stakeholders, including pilots, air traffic controllers, ground operations personnel, and airline owners, felt valued and respected, they would be more likely to take proactive steps towards addressing ethical concerns and protecting the public from harm. As Dr. Blackwood addressed his audience, he shared a personal story about one of the most tragic accidents that had occurred in aviation history, the Air France Flight 4591 disaster on July 26, 1978, when 4 American passengers were killed during a mid-air collision with an aircraft carrying military equipment. In a moment of intense reflection, Dr. Blackwood acknowledged that this served as a wake-up call for aviation safety and highlighted the urgent need to prioritize transparency, accountability, and ethical practices. Every single life is valuable, no matter how small or insignificant, he said. And while we may not have been able to prevent the Air France Flight 4591 tragedy from occurring, it serves as a poignant reminder that our industry must continue striving for excellence in all aspects of aviation safety. As Dr. Blackwood concluded his speech, he challenged everyone present to take action and make their voices heard within the aviati. On community, he encouraged them to work together towards creating a safer world where every passenger has the opportunity to fly with confidence and peace of mind, knowing that their loved ones would be protected from harm. Let us not allow fear or greed hold us back, Dr. Blackwood said. Instead, let us embrace change as an essential part of our industry's evolution. By standing up against corruption, advocating for transparency, investing in education and training programs, fostering a culture of empathy, and prioritizing safety at all levels, we can ensure that aviation remains the beacon of hope for travelers around the world. With this inspiring message ringing out over the Eiffel Tower on June 28th, Dr. Julian Blackwood's historic announcement marked not just another turning point in aviation history, but a profound shift towards a safer and more compassionate future for all who fly through our skies. As he looked back at his audience with a sense of pride and fulfillment, Dr. Blackwood knew that his legacy would continue to inspire generations yet unborn, reminding us of the power we have as individuals to make a positive impact on the world around us. Global Outline, * Dr. Julian Blackwood, a renowned aviation expert and founder of the New Horizon, took to his stage at the Eiffel Tower in Paris on June 28th. His announcement was met with mixed reactions from passengers, many expressing concern about safety and security, while others welcomed the opportunity for change. Within minutes, news broke that Dr. Blackwood's company had suspended all flights due to a string of high-profile accidents involving their aircraft, including one in which an Ethiopian Airlines plane crashed into a field near Addis Ababa, killing all 157 passengers and crew on board. This sudden upheaval caused widespread outrage among the aviation industry, with many demanding answers from Dr. Blackwood about the safety protocols he had implemented or those that were lacking. In response to these allegations, Dr. Blackwood took a strong stance, announcing sweeping reforms live from his seat. He outlined a series of measures aimed at addressing the root causes of these accidents and improving the overall aviation industry's standards for safety and efficiency. Firstly, he called on all airlines to implement strict protocols for pre-flight checks, including thorough background screenings and random drug tests for crew members. He emphasized the importance of robust communication between pilots, air traffic controllers, and ground control teams, as well as the need for constant monitoring and analysis of flight data to identify potential hazards before they become a reality on board. To combat corruption within airlines, Dr. Blackwood proposed measures such as implementing stricter financial regulations, conducting regular audits, and fostering an environment where transparency is at the forefront of decision-making processes. He also emphasized the need for investing in education and training programs to ensure that airline employees possess the skills necessary to perform their jobs safely and effectively, including proper handling of hazardous materials, emergency procedures, and communication protocols. To foster a culture of empathy within the aviation industry, Dr. Blackwood called on airlines to prioritize passenger safety above all else by prioritizing crew member well-being during flights, providing emotional support to passengers in distress, and actively listening to their concerns and feedback. He emphasized the importance of implementing regular health assessments for pilots and other flight attendants, as well as offering mental health resources for those who may be struggling with stress or anxiety related to flying. In addition to these fundamental changes, Dr. Blackwood also addressed broader issues such as air travel's impact on the environment and local communities, calling for a more sustainable aviation industry that prioritizes carbon emissions reduction, uses renewable energy sources, and supports responsible waste management practices. He outlined plans to establish partnerships with governments and nonprofit organizations around the world to develop new technologies and safety protocols aimed at reducing the risk of accidents caused by factors such as mechanical failures, weather conditions, or human error. As his speech reached its climax, Dr. Blackwood expressed a deep commitment to leaving behind the legacy of these tragic crashes and building a safer, more responsible aviation industry for future generations. He spoke about the importance of holding airlines accountable for their actions, demanding that they implement rigorous safety standards and demonstrate a genuine dedication to improving passengers' travel experiences. He encouraged those who had been affected by the accidents or whose loved ones were lost in them to never lose hope or give up on the possibility of change. We must remember, he said, that even after such harrowing events, we can rebuild and move forward with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. With this inspiring message ringing out over the Eiffel Tower, Dr. Julian Blackwood's historic announcement marked not just another turning point in aviation history, but a profound shift towards a safer and more compassionate future for all who fly through our skies. Task. Continue the same story seamlessly. Target is almost equal to 1,200 words. Do not recap earlier events. No headings. Paragraphs only. Avoid summary. No yindi. Advance the next logical beats from the outline while staying consistent. /Start. Dr. Julian Blackwood, a renowned aviator and aviation pioneer with an unwavering commitment to safety and ethical conduct in the field, had always been known for his calm demeanor and unyielding dedication towards making the skies safer than ever before. He had led the way in developing innovative technologies that revolutionized air travel, such as modern aircraft design, automated systems, and improved weather forecasting capabilities. However, after a string of tragic crashes that claimed countless lives and left an indelible mark on aviation history, Dr. Blackwood's reputation was forever tarnished by his role in these accidents. As the world watched in horror and disbelief at the sheer scale of devastation, he made it clear that no one would be allowed to profit off the suffering of others. "I know," he said with a heavy heart, "that our industry has been plagued by greed and prioritization for profits over passenger safety for far too long. But I am ready to take responsibility for my mistakes and make changes." With these words, Dr. Blackwood announced that his first priority would be to hold the airlines accountable for their actions. "I demand," he continued, "that all aviation companies adhere to strict safety standards and demonstrate a genuine dedication to improving passengers' travel experiences. This includes implementing rigorous testing protocols, investing in state-of-the-art equipment, and employing knowledgeable and experienced staff who are committed to ensuring that every flight is conducted with the utmost care." Dr. Blackwood's passionate plea for accountability resonated deeply with those around him, including his fellow aviation executives, engineers, pilots, and passengers. But this wasn't just about implementing policies. It was also about fostering a culture of safety within the industry itself. He called on airlines to prioritize employee training and education in emergency response protocols, as well as promoting transparency and open communication among stakeholders to build trust between them and their customers. "We must remember," he emphasized, "that even after such harrowing events, we can rebuild and move forward with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. We have the power to make a difference if we work together towards shared goals and prioritize safety above all else." As Dr. Blackwood's vision took shape, it became clear that this was no ordinary reform effort. Rather, it represented a bold step in the ongoing battle against aviation terrorism. In parallel with his push for change within airlines, Dr. Blackwood also addressed the broader issue of air safety and ethics at large. He launched the #FlySafe campaign to raise awareness about the importance of responsible travel practices, such as avoiding distractions during takeoff and landing, following proper seating arrangements, and reporting any issues or concerns immediately. The campaign quickly gained traction, with airlines across the globe adopting strict guidelines for passenger behavior in flight, resulting in a significant decrease in accidents and incidents. Dr. Blackwood's message resonated not just within aviation but also beyond, inspiring a movement towards greater responsibility and accountability at all levels of society. As his reforms continued to unfold, Dr. Blackwood became known as the Captain Good of the skies, his dedication to safety, ethics, and innovation earning him respect from around the globe. He led by example, exemplifying the values he had espoused for decades and inspiring a new generation of aviation professionals who were committed to making the industry safer every day. In the years that followed, Dr. Julian Blackwood's legacy lived on through his groundbreaking reforms and commitment to creating a world where the airline industry was transformed, with airlines implementing stricter safety standards, prioritizing employee training and education, promoting transparency, and adopting responsible travel practices. His message of accountability not only brought down the curtain on past mistakes, but also fostered a culture of safety that continues to shape aviation today. The world watched in awe as Dr. Blackwood's vision took flight, marking the beginning of a new era for air travel where safety and compassion were at the forefront of everyone's minds. As he stood atop the Eiffel Tower, Overlooking the bustling metropolis below, his words echoed through the skies, inspiring countless people to take responsibility for their actions and work towards creating a safer future for all who fly. Dr. Julian Blackwood, the aviation pioneer whose vision of safety and accountability transformed the industry, stood atop the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, on a clear summer day. The bustling city below was alive with activity as passengers and airport staff alike gathered to witness his grand unveiling of sweeping reforms live from his seat. With a confident stride, he addressed an audience assembled at the base of the tower, their faces filled with awe and excitement. "Good evening, everyone," Dr. Blackwood began. "I stand before you today to share some significant milestones in our industry that have not only brought down past mistakes, but also created a safer world for all who fly. As we gather here today, I want to take the opportunity to reflect on my legacy, from innovation and dedication that earned me respect across the globe, to leading by example and fostering a culture of safety that continues to shape aviation today." The atmosphere was electric as Dr. Blackwood's words echoed through the air, resonating with the hearts of those gathered at the base of the Eiffel Tower. He paused for a moment, taking in his surroundings before continuing. "We are witnessing the beginning of a new era for air travel," he said, referring to the groundbreaking reforms that had been implemented across the globe. "These changes have not only brought down past mistakes, but also fostered a culture of safety and compassion that is at the forefront of everyone's minds." One such reform that stands out was the emphasis on employee training and education. Prioritizing this area was not just about compliance, but it became an essential part of ensuring passenger safety on board every flight. Dr. Blackwood understood that without proper knowledge and understanding from those who operate these aircrafts, accidents could occur at any moment. He introduced a new program called Innovative Training for Aviators, ITFA, which provided comprehensive training to pilots, crew members, ground handlers, and maintenance personnel. The aim was not only to increase the number of proficient workers, but also to ensure that everyone had a deep understanding of safety protocols and procedures at all times. "We are creating a world where aviation is safe, reliable, and enjoyable," Dr. Blackwood continued. "Our commitment extends beyond the cockpit door. We're investing in employee education to empower individuals with the knowledge they need to make informed decisions and take calculated risks that ultimately benefit passengers." The ITFA program also introduced innovative safety measures, such as virtual reality simulations for pilot training, which provided a hands-on experience of navigating complex aircraft systems without compromising human judgment. This approach allowed pilots to gain confidence in their abilities under pressure while minimizing the risk of accidents. Another significant reform was the prioritization of transparency within the airline industry. By sharing detailed information about safety practices and incidents on board flights, passengers could make informed decisions when selecting airlines based on factors such as accident rates or incident reports. This transparent approach not only helped to reduce anxiety, but also fostered trust in aviation institutions. Dr. Blackwood introduced a new data management system that allowed airlines to track accidents, near misses, and other incidents in real time, providing valuable insights into potential areas for improvement. The system provided instant alerts to management teams about critical situations, enabling them to take proactive actions to prevent or mitigate the impact of these events on passengers. One significant aspect of this reform was the implementation of responsible travel practices that aimed at reducing the environmental footprint of aviation operations. Dr. Blackwood recognized the role airlines play in addressing climate change, and sought to minimize their carbon emissions by promoting eco-friendly aircraft, fuel-efficient engines, and sustainable ground handling practices. The airline industry began implementing guidelines for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, such as using biofuels or optimizing flight paths that avoided heavily populated areas. Additionally, they encouraged passengers to offset the environmental impact of their travel by purchasing carbon credits or donating money to support renewable energy projects. Furthermore, Dr. Blackwood's reforms focused on enhancing passenger experience and fostering a culture of safety within airlines. He introduced initiatives such as the creation of onboard emergency kits for all passengers and crew members, which included essential items like first aid supplies, snacks, and water bottles in case they needed assistance during an evacuation. These efforts not only increased passenger satisfaction, but also helped to create a sense of calm amidst the chaos that often comes with air travel. The introduction of emergency preparedness measures, such as pre-assessment exercises for crew members, frequent communication protocols among passengers, and designated exit routes ensured everyone was aware of their responsibilities in case an emergency occurred. As Dr. Blackwood stood on top of the Eiffel Tower, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride that his vision had brought about significant changes within the aviation industry. His commitment to safety not only saved countless lives, but also fostered a culture where everyone involved was committed to making air travel an enjoyable and safe experience for all. As he looked out at the bustling city below, Dr. Blackwood's message echoed through the skies, inspiring generations of aviation professionals to continue pushing boundaries and leading the way towards creating a safer future for all who fly. And with that, his legacy lived on, as the true embodiment of innovation, dedication, and accountability in the world of air travel. The sun continued its descent below, casting long shadows over the bustling airport below. As Dr. Julian Blackwood stood atop the Eiffel Tower once again, he knew that his vision had not only transformed aviation, but also changed the lives of countless passengers who would continue to follow his example and contribute towards a safer future for all. Dr. Julian Blackwood stood on top of the Eiffel Tower, his eyes fixed on the endless expanse below him as he listened to the news of the sweeping reforms that had been announced live from his seat. The crowd around him erupted in applause and cheers, a testament to his vision for change within the aviation industry. Julian was not just an engineer or pilot. He was a visionary who saw beyond the headlines and understood the power that technology could hold to transform society. As a pioneer of air travel safety, he had spent decades advocating for safer aircraft designs and procedures, pushing back against the old guard's resistance with unwavering determination. But as the news broke, it wasn't just about his personal accomplishments. It was about how Julian's reforms would impact not only aviation but also society at large. His vision of a world where everyone involved in air travel felt valued, respected, and safe had caught the eye of the government, who saw him as a beacon of hope for a brighter future. In response to Dr. Blackwood's message, the airline industry underwent a massive transformation. The once safety protocols were replaced with more streamlined procedures that prioritized passenger comfort and convenience over traditional regulations. Pilots now had access to real-time information on weather conditions, air traffic control updates, and emergency alerts, allowing them to make informed decisions in complex situations. The result was not just a safer flight experience. It was also one that was more enjoyable for passengers. The pressure on airlines to constantly innovate and improve their offerings led to the rise of new technology, such as noise-canceling headphones, personalized meal options, and even virtual reality simulations that allowed customers to explore different destinations before booking. But perhaps most importantly, Dr. Blackwood's reforms sparked a cultural shift within aviation. As the industry began to prioritize passenger experience over profit margins, airlines began to place greater emphasis on building strong relationships with their passengers, treating them as valued individuals rather than just passive consumers. This change was not only reflected in customer service, but also in the way companies operated themselves. The rise of social responsibility became a buzzword within the aviation industry, and airline owners were encouraged to consider how they could contribute to society beyond simply providing safe air travel. This led to initiatives such as community outreach programs that focused on environmental sustainability, job training opportunities for underprivileged youth, and even efforts to support local economies. As Julian's reforms came into full effect, people began to see the benefits of a more inclusive and accessible aviation industry. Passengers with disabilities were no longer left behind when it came to flying, as airlines invested in new technologies such as automated check-in systems that allowed them to navigate crowded airports on their own time. Meanwhile, passengers who had never flown before found themselves enjoying the thrill of air travel like never before. The introduction of virtual reality simulations and personalized meal options provided a unique and immersive experience that transported them across borders without ever leaving home. And with more airlines recognizing the importance of building strong relationships with customers, they were able to offer tailored experiences based on individual preferences. But perhaps most importantly, Dr. Blackwood's reforms not only transformed aviation but also society as a whole. By challenging traditional norms and prioritizing safety over profit margins, his vision had inspired others to think differently about how we approach work, travel, and everyday life. The airline industry became an example of what could be achieved when people came together to create a safer, more equitable world for all. As Dr. Julian Blackwood stood on top of the Eiffel Tower once again, he knew that his legacy would live on not just in aviation, but also beyond its borders. He had changed the course of history, and his vision was shaping the future of air travel as we know it today. And with each passing day, his impact grew stronger, inspiring generations to follow his lead and contribute towards a brighter tomorrow. In conclusion, Dr. Julian Blackwood's reforms transformed the airline industry from an outdated system that prioritized safety over passenger experience into a more inclusive, innovative, and responsible one. By challenging traditional norms and pushing for change, he shattered stereotypes and paved the way for a safer future for all who fly. As his legacy continues to evolve, it serves as a reminder of the power that technology can hold to shape our world in positive ways and inspire us to make meaningful contributions towards building a brighter tomorrow. Dr. Julian Blackwood sat atop the Eiffel Tower, once again reflecting on his groundbreaking reforms that had transformed the airline industry from a dark and exclusionary system into one that prioritized passenger safety and equal access for all. As he looked out at the bustling city below him, it was clear that his vision was far-reaching, not just in terms of aviation, but also beyond its borders. Dr. Blackwood's journey began when he took on the role as head of a small airline company that had been struggling to maintain profitability due to outdated safety practices and a lack of diverse perspectives within the industry. It wasn't until Dr. Blackwood stepped into his position and began implementing sweeping reforms, however, that things started to change. At first, there was resistance from some quarters who viewed these changes as radical or even dangerous. They feared that passengers would lose the IR jobs due to increased safety measures, while others argued that the airline industry needed a shakeup in order to remain competitive and sustainable. But Dr. Blackwood refused to be silenced by such skepticism. As he began implementing his reforms, it was clear that they were not going unnoticed. The media began reporting on the company's efforts to improve safety protocols, including increased training for pilots, stricter regulations around seatbelt usage, and a focus on diversity in hiring practices. This led to growing public support for Dr. Blackwood's vision, as people recognized how his reforms would benefit both passengers and the airline industry at large. One of the most significant changes that Dr. Blackwood implemented was the introduction of a new safety training program tailored specifically for women pilots. The program aimed to address the gender imbalance in aviation by providing equal opportunities for female candidates to pursue careers in flight, regardless of their existing qualifications or experience. As word spread about this groundbreaking initiative, it sparked an inspiring response from both male and female pilots around the world. As a result of these reforms, the airline industry began to shift towards more inclusive practices. The number of women pilots on board increased significantly, leading to greater operational efficiency, improved passenger satisfaction ratings, and reduced instances of accidents caused by pilot error or distraction. Moreover, the company's commitment to diversity and hiring practices led to a diverse range of perspectives within the team, which helped drive innovation and creativity. Dr. Blackwood's reforms didn't stop there. He also implemented changes aimed at addressing systemic racism and discrimination within the airline industry itself. The company started working closely with local communities and organizations that faced challenges related to fair access to air travel, such as low-income neighborhoods or minority ethnic groups. By providing financial support, training programs, and mentorship opportunities, Dr. Blackwood helped bridge these gaps and create a more equitable landscape for all passengers. As his reforms continued to unfold, it was clear that they were having an impact beyond the airline industry. The media started featuring stories of people who had benefited from Dr. Blackwood's initiatives, highlighting the positive changes in their lives due to safer air travel. People began sharing photos and videos on social media showcasing diverse pilots flying with his company, demonstrating how diversity could lead to greater innovation, creativity, and empathy. As word spread about these inspiring examples, more airlines started following Dr. Blackwood's footsteps, implementing similar reforms and fostering a culture of inclusivity within their operations. The airline industry began to take notice not just of the safety benefits, but also of the social impact that safer air travel could have on communities around the world. In 2023, as Dr. Julian Blackwood stood at the Eiffel Tower once again, he was no longer solely focused on aviation. He had transformed his airline from a dark and exclusionary system into one that prioritized passenger safety and equal access for all. His legacy continued to evolve as people celebrated the positive changes in their lives and inspired others to join him in creating a safer future. As Dr. Blackwood looked out at the bustling city below him, he knew that his vision was not just limited to aviation, but also had broader implications for building a more equitable world. He vowed to continue working towards this goal by promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout all sectors of society, including in the airline industry. As he stepped down from his seat on top of the Eiffel Tower, Dr. Julian Blackwood was no longer just an aviation legend, but also a symbol of hope for a brighter future. His reforms had transformed not only the airline industry, but also inspired countless others to join him in making meaningful contributions towards building a world that prioritizes safety and inclusivity for all passengers and crew members alike. The legacy of Dr. Julian Blackwood lives on, inspiring generations of individuals to follow his lead and contribute towards a brighter tomorrow. His vision is not just about aviation. It's about creating a safer, more equitable future where everyone has the opportunity to soar high, above the clouds with dignity and pride. Dr. Julian Blackwood, a renowned aviation pioneer and philanthropist who had dedicated his life to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the airline industry, sat at his desk inside his cozy office in Paris, France. The city below him was bustling with activity as people buzzed about their daily tasks and flocked to various landmarks for inspiration. Dr. Blackwood's gaze remained focused on a small satellite map of the world, gazing out over its vast expanse of blue skies. As he scrolled through his emails, notifications, and messages from colleagues around the globe, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in the progress that had been made towards creating safer and more inclusive aviation. He knew that even though much work remained to be done, these achievements were just the beginning, marking an era where diversity would not only enrich but also contribute to building a better world for all. One day, as he sat at his desk, reviewing an email from a top airline executive, Dr. Blackwood's vision took on new dimensions when one of the executives mentioned plans to introduce gender-neutral bathrooms in their planes. This was just one instance where Dr. Julian Blackwood saw how his work could influence not only aviation but also broader social and cultural change. Over the following weeks, more announcements were made about this groundbreaking initiative, with airline companies across the globe adopting similar policies, including implementing unconscious bias training for staff members, providing support to underrepresented groups in hiring processes, offering diverse job opportunities, and establishing partnerships with organizations that promote equality and diversity in various sectors. As Dr. Blackwood watched these changes unfold before him, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement about the possibilities they presented for creating a safer, more equitable world. He knew that had an important role to play in shaping this new era, not only as a means of transportation, but also as a catalyst for change. But Dr. Blackwood was aware that there were still significant challenges and barriers to overcome before true progress could be made. For instance, the airline industry faced resistance from some quarters who argued that diversity did not align with traditional gender roles or cultural norms. Some airlines had already implemented policies designed around accommodating certain groups in their operations, but struggled to enforce these changes effectively on all passengers. In response to this criticism, Dr. Blackwood launched a series of educational campaigns aimed at breaking down the misconceptions surrounding diversity and inclusion. He visited schools and universities, conducted workshops for industry professionals, and even spoke with policymakers about how his vision could be translated into practical policy solutions that would benefit everyone equally. One particular campaign stood out in his mind as particularly impactful. Dr. Blackwood created a series of short films featuring diverse crew members from different airlines discussing their experiences working on flights that were more inclusive than those they had encountered before. These videos not only showcased the positive impact these changes could have on passenger satisfaction, but also served as educational tools to help break down stereotypes and promote understanding. As Dr. Blackwood watched his campaign gain traction, he knew that it was time for airlines across the globe to take action towards creating a more inclusive industry. He reached out to key stakeholders in the airline sector, including CEOs, board members, and government officials, outlining his vision and urging them to support policies and initiatives that promote diversity and equity. In collaboration with these leaders, Dr. Blackwood established a dedicated team of experts who worked tirelessly to develop practical recommendations for airlines to adopt inclusive practices across their operations. The team conducted extensive research on best practices from other industries, analyzed the data, and presented actionable steps that could be taken to create safer, more equitable airports. After months of hard work, it was finally time for Dr. Blackwood's vision to become a reality. A series of pilot programs were launched in select cities around the world, with airlines adopting new policies such as gender-neutral bathrooms, flexible working arrangements, and equal pay for all crew members. At first, there were initial concerns about how these changes would impact airline business operations and revenue streams. But Dr. Blackwood was confident that their approach to diversity and inclusion would not compromise profitability in any way. He believed that by promoting a culture of inclusivity, airlines could attract more customers who valued the company's commitment to ethical practices while also creating new opportunities for diverse talent. As the pilot programs progressed, it became clear that these changes had a positive impact on passenger satisfaction, with many passengers praising the airline company's efforts towards diversity and inclusion. The change in working conditions not only improved crew retention, but also helped airlines attract more talented individuals from underrepresented groups who were eager to work for diverse teams. The success of these pilot programs led to increased public interest in aviation as a platform for promoting social change, with many people advocating for policies that would create equal opportunities and reduce the impact of systemic discrimination on marginalized communities. As Dr. Blackwood watched this growing movement, he knew that his vision was not just about building better airports, but also creating a more equitable world where everyone had an opportunity to soar high above the clouds. In 2023, after years of hard work and dedication, the airline industry saw significant progress towards achieving its goal of promoting diversity and inclusion. The introduction of gender-neutral bathrooms in all major airlines was a testament to this trend, with many passengers now choosing to fly on these planes for their privacy and comfort during travel. As Dr. Blackwood stood at the Eiffel Tower once again, gazing out over the bustling city below him, he couldn't help but feel proud of his work towards creating a more equitable world for all aviation passengers. His vision had not only transformed the airline industry, but also inspired countless others to follow his lead and contribute towards building a brighter future where everyone has an opportunity to soar high above the clouds with dignity and pride. And as he looked out over Paris, Dr. Blackwood knew that this was just the beginning of a journey that would continue for generations to come, ensuring that aviation remains a force for good in shaping our world's trajectory towards a more inclusive, equitable future. Dr. Julian Blackwood, a renowned aerospace engineer and expert in gender equality, had dedicated his life to revolutionizing the airline industry. After years of tireless work and hard dedication, he finally succeeded in turning prejudice against women into a force for change. In 2023, during a live broadcast from his seat on board an Air France flight, Julian announced sweeping reforms that would reshape the way aviation operates. The first step was to introduce gender-neutral bathrooms across all major airlines worldwide, which had been a long-standing issue in male-dominated industries. As passengers began using these facilities for their privacy and comfort, Dr. Blackwood's vision took a new turn. In the weeks leading up to his speech, he spoke with airline executives, industry leaders, and passengers alike, encouraging them to embrace diversity and inclusivity not only within the aviation sector, but also in every aspect of life. He argued that as we strive for progress in all fields, it is crucial to recognize and celebrate differences rather than perpetuating harmful stereotypes. His words resonated deeply with many who had been resistant to change before. The industry began to take note, from major airlines like Delta to smaller regional carriers, implementing gender-neutral bathrooms on their planes and stages. This not only made traveling more accessible, but also fostered a sense of inclusivity and acceptance among passengers. As the reforms continued to unfold, Dr. Blackwood's impact extended beyond just aviation. The airline industry became a symbol of progress for women across all sectors, inspiring other companies to follow suit. In addition to bathrooms, he introduced numerous initiatives aimed at promoting diversity in leadership positions within airlines, creating more opportunities for underrepresented individuals to advance their careers. The change was not overnight. It took months and years of hard work by Dr. Blackwood's team, but the results were evident. Female pilots started flying planes again, with many reporting increased confidence and job satisfaction since they could confidently navigate any aircraft without fear or shame. Women in engineering positions also saw a significant increase, as more companies embraced gender diversity in their hiring practices. The airline industry began to shift from being solely focused on profit margin and passenger comfort to fostering an environment that celebrated the unique perspectives and experiences of all passengers. This not only improved customer satisfaction, but also increased brand loyalty among diverse. As the reforms continued, Dr. Blackwood became a trailblazer in gender equality within aviation, earning numerous accolades for his innovative approach. He was named Airline Pioneer by Travel Plus Leisure magazine and received several awards from industry leaders, including the National Women's Aviation Hall of Fame. His vision inspired countless others to work towards creating a world where everyone has an equal opportunity to soar high above the clouds with dignity and pride. The impact of Dr. Blackwood's reforms was not just limited within aviation. It spread beyond borders as he became known for his unwavering commitment to diversity, inclusivity, and gender equality in all aspects of society. His inspiring message resonated with people from every walks of life, who began to embrace the power of change and strive towards creating a more equitable world. In conclusion, Dr. Julian Blackwood's legacy as an aerospace engineer and advocate for gender equality will be remembered for generations to come. His reforms not only transformed the airline industry, but also inspired countless others to contribute towards building a brighter future where everyone has an opportunity to soar high above the clouds with dignity and pride. As he looked out over Paris, Dr. Blackwood knew that this was just the beginning of his journey, ensuring that aviation remains a force for good in shaping our world's trajectory towards a more inclusive, equitable future. As the sun began to set over the bustling city of Paris, Dr. Julian Blackwood stood at his desk in his sleek, glass-walled office, gazing out onto the picturesque Eiffel Tower and the twinkling lights of the Seine River below. The once famous engineer was surrounded by a sea of colleagues, each one eager to hear their thoughts on the groundbreaking reforms he had just announced live from his seat. Dr. Blackwood's voice crackled with excitement as he addressed the assembled crew. "Good evening, everyone. I am Dr.